Sure. Dave, welcome back.
Thank you.
Reassembled yesterday, I believe. Just what's been happening over the last 24 hours or so?
Look, we got back late Monday night. Arrived in Sydney, and obviously the guys in New South Wales, the Canberra boys, they got to go home for a couple of days and a chance to see a bit of family, and then we've all headed up to Hunter Valley yesterday. So we had a good review. Obviously, boys spent a fair bit of time in the bus, so had a pretty light training run, but tidying a few things up and got a fair bit of work into them this morning. So it's been a good start. Good to get back into things.
I dare say the players needed to have a couple of days to recharge batteries. After your first test experience, a couple of matches, a lot went down across the ditch. Did you too need a bit of a time?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a chance to recharge. You never really switch off in this game, and so we I guess all the management was still doing a fair bit of work, but not under the time constraints. So really enjoyed the couple of days.
Dave, with the benefit of a little bit more time between now and that last game, have you learnt more about performance and what you did do well, or what you didn't do so well? Has there been more that's come out of it?
No. I think what we talked about immediately after the game was pretty accurate. Always when you reflect, we saw a lot of good stuff that we did and opportunities that we created, but you just got to be better. So, kicking wise, we need to kick on our terms, and we carried when we should have kicked, and we kicked at times when we should have carried. So, can't give New Zealand that sort of ball in that time and space, and then tackle poorly. So, we knew that going into the game, and we didn't execute that well enough and got punished. So we got a lot more in us, but there's areas that we need to tidy up, and individual tackling responsibility is one of them.
Okay, yeah, you were talking about some of those areas that you need to address, and one of the problem areas seemed to be the attacking breakdown in New Zealand. And maybe can you talk about some of the specific fixes for that, or things you're going to work on?
Yeah, look, obviously we had a chat to the ref post-game, so to get a little bit of clarity around some of that decision-making. But look, we've got to take responsibility for looking after ball. Believe it or not, it was better in the second game in regard to our ability to get in and win races and so on. But New Zealand are so lethal on the ball. We lost a bit of ball in contact where they stripped us in the tackle, and so they're things that we're focused on. What we know is if you kick poorly or if you turn ball over, they can punish you. So, but look, we've been going 4 weeks. We've put a fair bit of detail into the game, and there's lots of areas we need to be better at, and our ability to win races and to eliminate threats quicker is a key element to us to keep piling pressure on. And New Zealand, they scrambled pretty well, and they were good enough to turn over ball at key stages of the game. So, it's an area we've got to be better.
Dave, it's Jaleesa here from Channel 9. You made 4 changes after that first draw. Will you be making a fair few changes after the last game?
Obviously a question mark around Matt Tamua. We're obviously disappointed that there's a couple of games against the South Africans that we're not going to play now, and we're still very keen to blood some good young men who have been training well and preparing well, and so you could well see some changes for the next test in Sydney.
Dave, it's Mel Woods from AAP. You mentioned Matt Tamua then and his injury. I just wondered, given that Noah played inside centre with the under-20s team at the World Cup there, do you see him at all as an inside centre, or do you purely...
Yeah, I lost you right at the end there, Mel, but I got the gist of what you were saying. So, I mean, we primarily see Noah as a 10 who could play 12. He's very similar to James O'Connor, obviously. We do have a lot of options around 12. Hunter obviously filled in there really well for the majority of that test, and Edo Simone, very strong for the Brumbies, and he's a very good communicator, and so he's a strong option as well. So, yeah, we've got a bit to pick from.
Dave, given that there's this Waratahs game against Argentina would be pushed back, I believe the array was thought of as a possibility to play that game. Might a lack of match practice hinder those that haven't played the first two tests, given that it's a do or die game against the All Blacks?
No, we've worked everyone really hard, even though we've had 40 odd at training. It's a lot of moving parts, but you know we've got a lot of work into all these guys, and so we're pretty confident that we can pick anyone from that group and they'll be ready to go. So it would have been ideal. We were keen for some of our boys who haven't played to get a bit of a crack, and a number of them were Waratahs players, but yeah, unfortunately the Argentinians have pulled the pin, and so yeah, look, we'll reassess what happens, but we still plan to release, you know, up to a dozen guys to play Argentina next week for Australia A.
Dave, the Indigenous jersey was launched this week. You've been an advocate for, you know, embracing everyone's culture and coming together. What does it mean to you, and has that been addressed now? Come back in there?
Yeah, look, we're really excited. Players love playing in the Indigenous jersey, and it's impressive, I reckon. Yeah, look, it's a great opportunity for us to embrace our history. So, you know, we've talked a lot about you know, who we are and who we represent, and we've got a lot of different cultures within our group, but you know, we've spent a lot of time talking about past, present, and future in regard to our First Nations people, and a great opportunity to honour that next weekend.
Dave, it's Nikki here from Newshub. Just, is there any more advances on whether the Wallabies will be taking the knee during that game?
No, we won't.
Is there any reason for that?
Look, the key thing is, Nikki, this is about honouring our Indigenous people, and we want the focus to be on that. You know, we're not. I guess everyone's got their own opinions around you know, the other situation, but we want the focus to be around you know, reflecting on our history and our past. We've certainly talked about the Indigenous jersey, and you know, as a group, we'd like to see that represented every week in our Test jersey, not just as a one-off. And so I think this is the first step in regard to, you know, embracing that part of our history.
It's interesting today that Julian Savia came out and said that if the All Blacks if he was in that situation, he would take a knee. Do you have a personal view yourself?
All I've said is that, you know, our focus is around the First Nations people and the Indigenous jersey. We're not looking to make a political statement.
Dave, this was spoken about by the entire team, or was it?
Yep. So we met with the leaders, and then the leaders met with the rest of the team, and it's a unanimous decision.
Dave, when you say something else in the jersey, do you mean like, you know, Indigenous flag or something to represent something on the jersey, like in every test? Is that sort of what was you know, what the guys would like to see? Yeah,
absolutely. So, you know, I guess what we're trying to highlight is that it's, you know, First Nations is part of our DNA. It needs to be reflected in what we do each day, not just one or two times a year, you know. So, yeah, we think having it reflected on our Test jersey every week is really important.
And as an outsider before you joined the Wallabies team, what did you think of the jersey when Australia used to wear it? Obviously done at the World Cup in 17 against the All Blacks. What was your views from the outside?
I mean, I love it. Obviously, I coached the Chiefs for 6 years, where there's a really strong Māori flavour to that jersey, and reflected the history of our region and so on. So, they're often really good storytellers, and so, I think it's really important. I know the players love it, and I'll wear it with pride next week.
Is there any concern that it may clash a little with, it's obviously quite a dark green, it may clash a little with the All Blacks? Is there any discussion about them wearing an alternate jersey?
I don't think it'll clash, unless Ben O'Keefe's colourblind, but there's certainly enough white, and I don't think it's an issue. Might have been an issue if we were playing South Africa.
Dave.
Dave, I was just going to ask, after the first couple of matches against the All Blacks, are you more positive, more optimistic around where the group is going, or less?
No, definitely more. Like I said, we've only been together for a month. I think the first test showed that there's a lot of character in this group. I reckon we've got a massive upside, and we're going to get better over time, and that's why we're excited about having a lot of tests in succession. The opportunity to test ourselves against the All Blacks, who have consistently been the best side in the world. It's great for us, and so we're learning a lot. So we're learning a lot about ourselves and learning lots about the players, and boys are working hard. The attitude's been great. The culture is really developing, and so we're excited. But what we know is that there's an expectation that we need to win now. But ultimately, you earn respect through how you perform, and I think we earned a lot of respect in game one, and we took a step backwards last week, not through attitude or effort, but through accuracy, and so we need to be better. But I think we're moving in the right direction.
And Dave, has there been any changes to your squad by way of releasing guys, bringing anyone else in from abroad?
Not at this stage, Tom. So obviously we'll wait for specialist reports on Matt Tamur, which he's having additional scans today, and then we'll get a bit of a clearer picture of where we're at and whether we need to make any changes.
Dave,
You go, Sammy.
this is your second training camp at Cessnock. How are you finding the Hunter Valley?
Yeah, magnificent. The weather's great. We've been really well looked after. Training at St Philip's, and the high school's been fantastic. They're really looking after us, and accommodations. It's good. It's you lose a couple of hours travelling up here, but having a short drive to trainings, gym and field, and that makes a massive difference day to day. So we're certainly being well looked after here, and boys enjoying being back up here.
Dave, what's your philosophy around making changes? Obviously you've got if you don't make changes, you've got the stability, but you're not getting to see as many people. You make changes, it can sometimes go the other way.
Yeah, I think what's important, we're always thinking that we're going to play 8 tests in 9 weeks. And, so we'd have to use a pretty big chunk of our squad anyway. Our philosophy around earning the right to play hasn't changed. So whatever changes we make will be based on the fact that we think certain individuals are ready to go and deserve an opportunity, or maybe the guys who wore the jersey previously haven't nailed it. And there's certainly a lot of competition for places, and as you'll find, we're not scared to make changes.